Here to welcome you to our June 8th, 2020 Mishawaka Planning Commission.
Try 2021.
Yeah, that's it too. June 8th, 2021 Planning Commission. Tonight's meeting obviously is online, virtually, and in person. And just before we get started, I want to go over some rules. And that is, as folks present petitions tonight, we ask those in person will be invited to present the petition or to speak in favor. Those online or attending virtually or by phone will be asked to speak in favor of the petition. Then those in person wishing to speak against the petition, and those online or by phone wishing to speak against. We'll close the public hearing. Before we take action, we'll have questions and comments from our commissioners, and then we will take appropriate action after a motion is made. So we just ask everybody to be courteous. Again, as the agenda says, face masks for fully vaccinated individuals are optional, and I think they're optional, but highly suggested if you're not vaccinated. But we're glad that you're here tonight to do our business. First, we'll hear tonight, I'll call the meeting to order, roll call, explanation of the rules of procedure, and then there'll be a presentation by the petitioner, those who wish to speak in favor, again, in person or by phone or virtually, those who wish to speak against in person or by phone or virtual, right or rebuttal by the petitioner, commission discussion, commission vote. All right. And with that, I would ask Carrie to call the roll.
Chris Jamrose.
Here.
Murray Wynn.
Here.
Woody Emmons. Chris Nabalski.
Here.
Matt Lynch.
Here.
Nick Triola.
Here.
Thank you.
Torty.
Dale, yes, thank you. Dale Freeman.
Here.
Kathleen White-Gaddich.
Here.
Glad to see everybody can make it, even in the nick of time. Just for those who are attending virtually or on the phone, I'm going to go over the agenda. First, public hearing plat number 21-04. Next, petition 21-07. Next, petition 21-08. Following by petition 21-09. Finally, petition number 21-10. All right. The May 11th, 2021 meeting minutes were distributed. Are there any corrections, additions, changes? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve the minutes from May the 11th.
Second.
2021.
Motion made by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Freeman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Would anybody like to declare a conflict of interest?
No.
All right. Then first up, public hearing plat 21-04, a request submitted by Rudra 26 LLC seeking approval of a one-lot Rudra Lincoln Way minor subdivision. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Mike Huber, Abbott Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. Appreciate your consideration of our request this evening. Mr. Patel with Rudra is also present in case there are some questions you might have for him. Tonight's presentation or tonight's request is simply to combine subdivision plat to combine the two lots. This property was rezoned, the property on the west, 1333 Lincoln Way, to match the C1 commercial zoning from C4 previously in February in anticipation of this development. The platting and combining of the lots here is the next step of that process, and then we're working on the site plans and coming back for the final site plan, anticipate probably next month for this project. Again, the project is a laundromat and a small office. We anticipate being able to have the 10 parking spaces that are required by the zoning ordinance. Here's a little bit of a layout. This is our most recent update. So you'll see something that looks a lot really close to this when we come back. Again, tonight, all we're really asking to do is just to finalize and complete the plat. We know that There were some concerns or some issues and comments by engineering and planning on the plat related to the non-access easement on Lincoln Way. We're good with that because we're using Burkett for the access to the parking lot anyway. And the minor revisions and comments that Derek made from a planning standpoint will be incorporated into the final plat before we turn it in for recording as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of Plat 21-04? In person or by phone or virtually? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of Plat 21-04? Hearing none and seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to Plat 21-04, either in person, by phone, or virtually? Hearing none. Close the public hearing. Any questions, comments before we take action? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Plat 2104 as presented by the petitioner, sir.
I second.
Commissioner Freeman made a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Twardy. Would you please poll the commissioners carried?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Matt Lynch?
Yes,
Chris Twardy?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White Gaddich?
Yes.
and that passes unanimously. Next up is petition 21-07, a petition submitted by Triple J LLC requesting to amend the University Marketplace Plan Unit Development 7207 Grape Road, Granger, former JCPenney home store, to allow an automobile dealership and service center. Please.
I'm Chris Sotos with the petitioner. Joining me virtually or by phone is my partner, Stephen Panko, the architect of record, Bob Rogacki of Ridgeland Associates, the engineer of record, Richard Gerdeman of Woolpert Incorporated. We are under contract to acquire,
State your address, please.
my address is 515 North State Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60654.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We are under contract to acquire the property, and we have a prospective tenant that we have submitted to you. It is a high-end electric automobile, solar power and renewable energy tenant. And what we are proposing to do is to keep the existing 36,500 square foot JCPenney building. The building to the west, that's approximately 4,800 square feet, will be demolished. All of the pavement will be repaired, either through a mill and overlay or complete replacement. Landscaping will be improved throughout the property. We did receive some comments from staff asking us to increase some of the, and create a hedgerow along the western side of the property. And we anticipate closing on the property shortly after approvals.
Anything else you want to add?
That's all.
Any questions from the commissioners? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of 21-07, either in person or by phone or virtually? Again, anyone wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-07? In person.
This is
by
Bob Rogacki from Ridgeland Associates. I represent the architectural firm. If somebody can please pull up the elevation.
Can you give your address, please?
1 Riverside Road, Riverside, Illinois.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The top elevation is the existing building as it stands today. The lower elevation is what we're proposing to do. As you can see, we've taken the building to the west off. We're proposing to add a couple new doors, new aluminum storefront entry system, and canopy. The building will be painted gray on the main body of the building, white around the entry with the red canopy. The dock that is shown in the proposed elevation is currently there. It just doesn't show up in the above elevation. Our intent is not to increase the height of the building or increase the square footage. We're trying to reuse as much of it as we possibly can. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Rich, who can talk about the site.
Yeah, hi, this is Richard Gerdeman, Wolpert, 1815 South Myers Road, Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois. Yeah, the existing site consists of an asphalt pavement that has degraded. And as Chris had mentioned, we're going to do a mill and overlay, replace sections that require replacement based on what that bearing capacity is of the soils. There happens to be dry wells currently out there. We understand that some of them may potentially not be performing as expected, so we'll go in and modify the impermeable material around that to make sure it performs properly. We see that the staff has recommended some screening and have some additional screening trees put on, and we have no problem abiding by the recommendations that the staff have. I believe we can meet all those conditions.
Any questions from the commissioners? For any of the petitioners?
Which portion of the building will be showroom, and which portion of the building and the entrance therein for service, do you know at this point?
This is Chris Soto, so I can answer that question. A substantial portion of the building will be service of the approximately 36,000 feet. Approximately 24 to 25 will be service. Entry is anticipated from the western side of the property where the old 4,800 square foot facility was located.
And then you're assuming that you will have exterior viewing of potential vehicles to be purchased?
There will be several vehicles inside the showroom, along with a host of other solar and renewable energy products that the tenant is in the business of selling.
Okay.
Any? Mark, anything else?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-07? In person and by phone, online? All right, is there anyone in person, by phone, or virtually attending that wishes to speak in opposition to petition 21-07?
Opposed?
What's that?
I oppose.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Who are you asking for to speak? Thank you.
In opposition?
I oppose on Timberland Drive as a
Right.
resident.
We need to hear your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Nathan Hoover. Address is 52856 Timberland Drive, Granger, Indiana,
You want to,
46530.
thank you. You want to give us a little bit of, help us understand why you're in opposition?
I have a few concerns as a property owner within 500 feet of the development. Looking at the plans here, my concern is of the west side of the entrance being used for vehicular traffic entering and exiting. The privacy fence behind me is currently very translucent of that traffic of any kind. And I'm just concerned about environmental. My whole entire house and my master bedroom is within view of this proposed development.
Anything else?
Further concerns, if anybody else would like to speak.
Well, I'll ask for that. Anything else from you?
Concerns.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else present or by phone or virtually wishing to speak in opposition to petition 21-07?
Yes, I would.
Please state your name and address for the record.
I am Chris O'Dwyer, 15690 Arthur Street, Granger, Indiana, 46530. My main concern is as an auto dealership, being in a residential area, generally there are very high lights. My property borders, it's in the rear of my property. I do not want my night sky lit up like it is day. I do not believe that that is fair to expect us to deal with that. I would like that addressed, as well as any noise concerns coming from a service area. I do hear that they are saying that it is mainly going to be a few cars inside, so maybe that is different than what I am envisioning. I am perfectly fine with a retail outlet with the general traffic during the day, but it's the night and lighting up my night sky and the noise that I am generally concerned with.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
No, that would cover it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in person or by phone or virtually that wishes to speak in opposition to 21-07? If so, please come forward if you're in person. State your name and address for the record.
Rodney Waters, 52930 Timberland Drive, Granger, Indiana. We live on the west end. Our property lines will meet. My wife and I came up here from Bremen in the country where it's dark. Our bedroom is going to be right at 200 feet from the closest light. Our backyard is pitch black at night. We love it. All of our neighbors have moved in there because it's very secluded and private and very dark. No one uses lights at night. We've got friends and family that come over that, you know, they think it's a state park because it's so dark at night. And we like to have fires out back at night. And who wants to have a fire when it looks like noon? And our grandkids love the backyard with flashlights at night. If you've been past Gurley Leap in the middle of the night, it looks like it's noon. And I'm afraid that's what our backyard's gonna look like. I think our property values will drop drastically because of it. All the lights are gonna draw more bugs. And I don't think anybody wants any more bugs around. The winter snow is gonna increase the intensity of the lights an awful lot. And like I say, we enjoy our black, dark backyard. This isn't a place for a car lot. There's, on 3 sides, it's residential. And wildlife, okay. We've got coyotes, we've got fox, we've got deer, we've got great horned owls, we've got raccoons, skunks, possums, bats, and falcons. And any of the night animals are gonna disappear with all the light. We don't wanna lose the owls. I mean, we're talking owls that are this tall. And is there gonna be a wildlife study done for us before they start cranking up 1,000,000 watts of lights? We've been there about 11 years and it's been fabulous. J.C. Penney's, the lights were always kept at a minimum and all their traffic stopped at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So that's where I'm coming from. And I disagree with the whole thing. A retail business, J.C. Penney's was great. The architectural firm is fabulous in there. We've understood that they've had quite a few catalytic converters stolen off their trucks in the back parking lot. And you know, a car lot brings in people that want to steal off cars. We've got a quiet neighborhood with a dead-end street. We don't have any problems. And I think this might be bringing us in some problems.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Waters, I have
Wait,
I do have a question. Can you show me where your lot is? So your lot is, okay, got it, got it.
They've got lights, I know one planned right here, and this is,
That's your lot, got it.
yep,
Whoop, okay,
where'd she go? Yeah, that's a light right there,
okay.
and they got more
But your lot is right there.
right there.
Gotcha, understood.
And like I say, our bedroom is roughly 200 feet from that first light, about 150 foot to the property line.
Understood. Thank you.
So if they want to buy me blackout shades when they move in,
Thank you.
I'll probably move first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to petition 21-07?
I'm Julian Cruz Snyder. I live at 52811 Timberland. I'd like to know if they've done a study on what they're going to do with the fluids, if they're going to be working with the automobiles. You have oils, you have transmission fluids, you have windshield wiper fluid that they swap out. They have transfer case fluids. Where are these going? We live in a septic and well system. Are they going to get dumped in the ground and pollute our well water? Because I'd like to know. Because my husband used to work at a truck stop, a truck shop. And he says some of the, at Hills, a lot of times they threw it under the rug. When the inspectors came by, they were doing everything in the bins. Now, when the inspectors aren't there, things get dumped down the drain, into the cistern or into our water table. What's that gonna do to our water life?
We'll get those questions answered.
And
for you.
then, the
We'll
other
get those
thing,
questions answered for you at the time of rebuttal.
okay, and then the other thing is, will they have the so-called or the machinery, are they gonna be coming in at all hours of night, or are they gonna be restricted to a certain time frame?
Again, we'll get that covered. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to 21-07? Either in person, by phone, or virtually. Is that a GoPro, sir? Yes, sir. All right.
See how well it works, as long as the battery lasts. My name's John Spar. I live 52929 Timberland Drive, across the street from Rod Waters. And when this was brought to light, apparently maybe in compliance with state law, the mailings only went out 300 feet from this property. So I made copies of this, and I canvassed the neighborhood more adjacent that would be affected by all the bright light. And I passed out 20 of these copies, and nobody was in favor of it. I think the majority of us live in the area and enjoy the lack of street lights, the darkness. As you can see in the photo, it's a old growth forest area. When they had the emerald green beetle problem, I had a guy from DNR come out and see if I had any, or there were any ash trees around that might be in jeopardy. So he was pointing out, well, this tree's probably 250 years old, that one's probably 180 years old. And one of the issues is that, you know, the trees provide a lot of filtration of light. You come down that street in a hot summer day, it really cools it off, 10 or 15 degrees. Of course, trees produce oxygen and absorb CO2, and if you had a picture of what our street looks like when you turn the corner, it's like just an archway of trees, and you think you're in a forest. So certainly the intrusion of light, and I don't know if that's a 24-hour issue. It appears to be at most of the other dealerships I've gone by over the years, and certainly there's an issue also with the attraction of people into the neighborhood, which is fairly quiet, very quiet and crime-free, other than incidences perhaps that I'm aware of that have happened in that commercial vicinity. And I certainly don't like the light and the possibility of heavy truck traffic unloading vehicles at whatever hours. I believe the Grape Road from Cleveland on is restricted to not having heavy vehicle traffic as well, and trucks. I know trucks come and go at all hours of the night, and those are hydraulically operated, and when the ramps go up and down and bang on the concrete, that creates a lot of disturbance and noise. And certainly vehicles being towed in and out. This vehicle, apparently these Tesla-style vehicles, I'll say, I'm guessing, or whatever solar-powered vehicles have just as much issues as reliability and vehicles getting towed in a dealership at all hours. And anyone that's had vehicles towed, they detach a chains and throw them up on the flatbed, and all that makes considerable amount of noise. And I worked for years on the railroad, and one thing back with Conrail they really talked about a lot was getting your proper rest and getting sleep. And they had done circadian rhythm studies, which really affects greatly the health of anyone, that you get proper rest and so on at night. And I know my Rod Waters, my neighbor, was saying that when the restaurants were functional, whether it was King's or whatever was in there, that oftentimes the drivers start out there at 4 in the morning, and they come and pick up the dumpsters and dump them down. And he said every time, every day, that would wake them up. And all these things accumulate to have an effect on one's rest, which is an issue also with this kind of a development, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anyone here's adverse too much for commercial property that apparently has been there for a long period of time, but I think every one of us would wish that property, that entire property, would be developed for residency. And I think the whole commercial annexation of that by the city here was, disrupted the continuity of the residency of that area, where there are no street lights, nice ranch-style homes, a wooded area, whether on one side of Grape Road or another. And I think all of us would rather see housing go in there than something like this. So the noise factor, sleep, the light pollution, I printed out some stuff, I don't know, I hear it about light pollution and, what issues that arises with people's sleep, and also the noise pollution as well, which, with a service center in there, and, I know that probably not air conditioned, but maybe it is. Most of the time, people open up those doors and you can hear air wrenches and, wheels flying around and, that kind of disturbance, which we didn't have with any of the present retail locations or businesses that are still remain in that area. Another thing I'd like to address is that nationwide, we're looking at a commercial real estate collapse. And, the General Motors both, and Tesla vehicle people, Elon Musk, I believe is his name, admitted there's no demand, very little demand for electric vehicles, which would, a lot of his financings come through federal monies that are given to him for getting these things going. And I don't think it'll be long lasted in regards to that dealership. And then I also look at the amount of people that are attracted to that area, coming up to buy cars. I don't know if any of you have been in gas stations and you see a guy, he's got a new vehicle, and here's a temporary sticker on a car or a gal, and they go in and, $3 of gasoline. I mean, they don't have the money. Similar to 2007, they were selling houses to people that couldn't pay for them. And the same thing's going on with the car market now. And I follow a guy, Gerald Salente at Trends Journal, and he was quoting the other day that commercial real estate in New York City has a 16% occupancy. And if you go up and down Grape Road, McKinley, you people are all probably quite aware that there are many buildings that have been closed down because of the political situation, blamed on the virus. A lot of small businesses have been closed. There's a lot of available real estate in that area. One off the top of my head would be United Skates of America, where the gentleman retired, and that's a big lot. If they had a dealership down on Grape Road, down on Main Street, or on McKinley somewhere, great. You know, those lights being on, that noise, that kind of atmosphere, you know, might even be more welcomed in that area, you know, prevent crime or something like that is supposed, but, you know, this is quite an intrusion on our neighborhood, and I don't think it's very welcome, at least with the majority of people I've talked to, and I don't know how many are gonna come here, but, all these things.
Well, we
need-
appreciate your concerns.
Okay, well, that's good. Appreciate that as well. Now, also, well, let's see, I'm trying to make sure while I have a moment that, I was curious, is it just in compliance with the state law that this letter went out to so few people?
We send them out as
A
in
courtesy.
compliance. Go ahead.
As a courtesy, we mail them to property owners within 300 feet.
Okay.
State law, we advertise in the newspaper.
So we go above and beyond the state law, sir.
Well, you know, not too many people bother with a newspaper anymore. In fact, the newspaper's not even a local.
But we go above and beyond the
In
state
fact-
law. We mail them out.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious, because it really didn't seem to, there's many more people in the area, in the community that didn't have any notification or knowledge of something like this going on. And I don't know if that's intentional or is just, you thought you were doing good, but I thought the outreach could have been much larger.
Again, we go above and beyond the state law in our
Okay.
notice. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well, I appreciate that, and, you know, too, I'd like to say that I certainly enjoy, sometimes I get up in the morning and, you know, I'm in a county. I got some chickens recently, and sometimes I get up early in the morning, I look over my neighbor Rod's house and see the light of day coming and the sunrise, and, you know, that'll all be obscured by any light pollution, and I think lights are ridiculously bright anymore. I don't appreciate the LED lights or anything else that are being installed, and I'm sure, you know, with the Tesla vehicles and the bright lights of the vehicles, that'll just compound the situation. Also, I feel in the local press, in the news over the last several years, there's been local news coverage of automobile dealerships and so on that have been vandalized. You know, having these beautiful vehicles here, you know, people will certainly be glad to steal the wheels that have been disappearing or the catalytic converters that are disappearing. And in fact, one of the neighbors down the street works at Alex, which is, you know, sell things for people with handicaps and so on. And a woman told me all of their trucks had their catalytic converters stolen, even though they had the bright lights, they had camera systems. You know, the police couldn't identify the people. And I think something like this is going to bring some questionable people around also to see if they could get one of these trendy cars. And, you know, also they'll be taking test drives and looking around and saying, whoa, there's some nice houses here. And, you know, maybe we can come back later and hit this house or break into this house. And, you know, it's kind of nice and dark, and there's quite a bit of that in that South Bend, Mishawaka area that I'm aware of as well, possibly even stealing vehicles. And Lord knows, I guess there was
Sir,
an
I'm gonna
incident
ask you to-
recently.
I want to make sure everybody's
Okay,
heard.
well, just bring in the crime, right?
No.
Nobody's brought.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just going to ask you to bring it to conclusion.
Okay, well, it seemed like you wanted to, but, all right, well, those are the issues I have. You're bringing, you know, bad people into the neighborhood, maybe a small minority, but all it takes is one rotten apple for somebody to get hurt or maimed or have their possessions stolen or, God forbid, knows what else, so.
Thank you
this
so
will just
much.
be another attraction to that, and I would hope this be declined and find a better business partner, and I certainly don't appreciate out-of-town people purchasing real estate in our area as well, and then they go back home in their little comfy suburb.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Good day.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to 21-07? No worries. Please state your name and address for the record.
Jewel Cruz, 52796 Timberland Drive, Granger. I just want to comment that we love this area. We don't need this. We have lived in our home, we're at the end of Timberland, right at the dead end. We have lived there since St. Patrick's Day of 1974. That's when we moved in. We love it so much. We have added to their house twice. Our daughter bought the house across the street from us, and our son lives down the street from us. That's how much of a family neighborhood that we have there, and we love it. We have great neighbors, and we want to keep it that way. Quiet. Rod mentioned all the animals. He forgot our significant turkey population, too. And we love those animals just as much.
Okay.
But we want to keep it just the way it is. An archway of dogwood trees in the spring and 20 degrees cooler when you come in off of the street. Please keep it just residential. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to 21-07?
Brandon Yoder, 52900 Timberland Drive. I'll be pretty brief. I live right next to Rod. And we just moved in there 3 years ago. Wanted to raise a family there. Everything they've been saying, we agree with. Yeah, the biggest concern is light pollution and noise, so I'd be interested to hear the rebuttal to all that. But just wanted to voice my opposition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to 21-07? Anyone else? Either by phone, in person, virtually? Hearing none, we'll give the petitioners the right of rebuttal.
Chris Sotos again. I'll address the concerns one at a time. The first was the screening of the property. There's currently a fence on the western border of the property. I'm sorry, the northern border of the property. That fence will be maintained, repaired, and replaced as necessary. A lot of discussion about landscaping and views. One of the comments that came back from staff, while we had proposed adding a significant amount of landscaping, staff did ask us to add a hedgerow along the eastern side of the property, as well as some additional screening on the southern side. And as you can see from what's already proposed, there is significant landscaping added to this site. So we are not detracting at all from what is currently there, which is a vacant, unimproved, or very old store. Questions regarding lighting. The JCPenney store was open till 9, and typically during holidays, it would not be unusual for it to be open even later than that. And with any retail use, you keep the lights open some hours after the last employee leaves. So this use will typically be closed by 7, some days by 5. So while we would be replacing and adding new lighting to make the site modern, I would anticipate that the lighting concerns would be significantly less because the hours of operation will be less in the evening than what was a retail store. In addition, all the lighting will have 90-degree cutoffs so as to avoid spillage onto neighboring property. So whatever we do will be with the care to avoid any disturbances to neighbors while providing a safe environment for any use that would go on the site. As I mentioned, the hours of operation are typically 8 to 5, sometimes 8 to 7, so it is not an evening intensive use. There was questions about environmental impact, noise. There are no oils used. These cars do not have transmissions. It is a exceptionally environmentally friendly use. The use itself is, and in addition, there will be some delivery of parts. There will be some retail product drop-off, the solar products as well as automobiles. But that will probably be much less than what you would have with a typical JCPenney store, which would have deliveries very consistently during the week as they sell their products much more quickly. So environmentally, this is a much, much more favorable use than what was previously there. Service here is by appointment only, so it is not like you'll get random cars dropped off all hours of the day. There are not, it's not a showroom where there will be test drives, people walking in unannounced, and a free-for-all. This is not that type of retail use. It is high-end. All of these locations are very much improved interior and exterior, and in relation to property values, we suspect that by having a high-end use replacing a vacant building, which in the commercial sector is an issue, we think that the neighbors will enjoy a significant appreciation from having the site occupied. Thank you.
Thank you. Nope. With that, we'll close the public hearing. I close the public hearing.
I was trying to ask before you closed it. I wanted to ask the attorney a question.
Ask me the question, please.
When you say there'll be no fluids, how do you grease the bearings and the wheels? And where would the grease go after you removed it? Because, and which car company is this going to be? We, as the residents, would like to know who could
Ma'am,
possibly be in there.
All right. Ask a question. We'll give him an opportunity. We're doing this by courtesy.
Yes.
Would you like to, and that's, after this, the public hearing will be closed. Go ahead, sir.
In response to your question, I'm not an expert on automotive wheels, but I don't believe that greasing wheels is something that is very common. But if you're familiar with a typical combustion engine and the lubricants that a combustion engine needs, this is completely different. It does not have a motor. It does not require transmission or oil changes, which are significant issues. So there will be windshield wiper fluids. All of those will be handled with ordinary care as any automobile facility would. And we don't expect there to be any environmental impact at all. And if anything, we think there'll be a significant increase by having the site in operation and making sure that the drywalls are performing, and by adding landscaping, and by having a facility that's fully improved and in use, it'll be an amenity to the entire community.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions? No, the public hearing is closed. Sir, the public hearing is closed. Are there any questions before we take?
I have a question.
Yes.
So if I was a resident there, my main concern by listening to all the residents would be the lighting at night. Are you saying that there will not be lights on at night? Because most of the car lots do have lighting on all night long.
I do not believe that this will be a facility, that this is not a facility that is your typical automotive, we sell cars out of our facility. This is primarily a service facility with a showroom to showcase automobiles, solar products, and renewable products. We anticipate lighting to the extent required to keep the parking lot lit during evening hours and to let employees leave safely. Beyond that, I would expect that it will be typical of the other businesses in the area, some modest lighting to be safe and secure, because nobody really likes dark facilities along major thoroughfares, as they tend to invite some crime. But this will not be a bright lit showroom 24/7. It is just not that.
Okay, thank you. Any thoughts, questions, comments before we take action? If not, I would accept a motion.
Mr. President, Like to make a motion to approve petition 2107 as presented by the petitioner.
A motion made to approve by Commissioner Freeman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Torti. Carrie, would you please poll the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Nguyen?
No.
Chris Nabalski?
No.
Matt Lynch?
Yes.
Chris Torti?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White-Gaddich?
No.
What's the
4-3,
4-3 against?
4,
What's up, 4?
4.
4-3, 4, and this will go to the city council. Thank you very much. Next up is petition 21-08, a petition submitted by Smita Patel requesting to rezone part of the 2754 Lincoln Way East from C1 General Commercial District to C7 Automobile-Oriented Restaurant Commercial District to allow a restaurant with drive-through. Sir.
Thank you. Mike Huber, Avon Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. Here tonight, this is a request to rezone a portion of the parcel adjacent to the parking lot of the Mishawaka Inn Hotel property on the north side of Lincoln Way Avenue, from C1 General Commercial to C7 Commercial to allow the
Hold
development.
on a second. Would somebody please close the door?
Actually, Matt, because it's a public hearing, we have to leave it open.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That one's open.
Hang on just a second.
All right, my apologies. Please proceed.
Yep. Again, we're proposing to rezone this parcel from C1 General Commercial to C7 Commercial to allow for the development of a drive-through restaurant use on this parcel. We're looking at about a 1 acre parcel of property for the development of the new restaurant. As noted in the staff report, this use is compatible with the neighboring uses in the corridor, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. We officially, our company, brought a proposal earlier, I think late last year, to rezone this for a C10 use for the development of a gas station. That didn't happen. We're bringing this back tonight. If you'll remember, in that previous development, we had significant conversation with the city and with NDOT on the access to this property, which seems to be a real significant issue. With this property, we are following the exact same access plan that we had developed with the previous one. Working with NDOT, we'll be utilizing that existing shared drive access. We'll come in from that into the hotel parking lot, in and around to serve. We're working with NDOT to shorten the median, the concrete median on Lincoln Way, and to create a left turn for eastbound traffic to the north, which helps mitigate the conflict with traffic turning in to McDonald's from the east to the south. So we're committed to those same traffic improvements for this project as well. Trying to think if there's any other significant issues or questions to cover here. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the commissioners for the petitioner?
Do you know if that access drive is state-controlled? That goes back for the DNR for where the,
I don't believe it's state control. I mean, the access onto Lincoln Way obviously is a state-controlled access point, but that's probably a local road then drive.
I believe
that's
it's,
DNR, isn't it?
it's not a Mishawaka road, but I
My
think it
guess
might be
is-
DNR.
Yeah, my guess is that's DNR, and I think, my next question is, what's the estimated vehicles per hour, per day, whatever, through the restaurant that will increase the use of that particular spot?
Sure. I don't have that number off the top of my head. As we would come back for final site plan approval, when we finalize all of these things, all of these site issues, we'll definitely have that information. But as far as for the rezoning this evening, I don't have those specific numbers related to that, but we definitely can get those answers when we come back for final site plan approval. I'd also like to just note, we are closing the existing access that we
Well,
have onto Lincoln Way as part of this whole solution.
Yeah, I understand that. My point is, when you look at it and use that access way that goes back to DNR or goes to the hotel, people who are headed east cross 5 lanes of traffic before they are able to enter the eastbound traffic lanes, because there's 2 left turn lanes, 2 straight through lanes, and a right turn lane. And so there's 5 lanes of westbound traffic that those people are gonna have to cross.
So our proposed solution with the left turn lane into the north for traffic heading east does narrow those 2 left turn lanes going west from the east. It does narrow that a little bit. So we're reducing those number of lanes that they're crossing and mitigating some of that traffic with that turn lane. That's part of the intent of that turn lane.
Thank you.
Yes.
And any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else, either in person or by phone or attending virtually, wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-08? Again, anyone in person, attending virtually, or by phone wishing to speak in favor of 21-08? Hearing none and seeing none, is there anyone in person or attending virtually or online by phone wishing to speak in opposition to 21-08? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any comments, questions before we take action? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'll move to approve the rezoning petition of case number 21-08.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Nubowski,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kathy White Gaddich. Carrie, would you please poll the commissioners?
Chris Chamorros?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Chris Nabowski?
Yes.
Matt Lynch?
Yes,
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen Whitehead?
Yes.
and that passes unanimously. Next up is petition 21-09, a petition submitted by MOE-AN LLC seeking to annex and zone 19.2 acres south of Blair Hills and north of Autumn Ridge subdivision to R1 single-family residential for a proposed single-family residential subdivision. Welcome.
Mike Huber, Abbott Marsh Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South End, Indiana. As noted, this is an annexation petition request. I've highlighted the parcel that we're asking to annex this evening. That the highlighted green areas are the existing city boundaries, jurisdictional boundaries as well. So you can see this property is basically surrounded by the city already, as it is. We've got single-family use, Blair Hills subdivision to the north. We've got single-family use with the Autumn Ridge subdivision to the south. The developer, Mike West, with Edwin Allen, who's also here this evening, they're proposing this to be an extension of a fourth phase of the Autumn Ridge subdivision to the north of the existing Autumn Ridge. This gives you an idea of their kind of build-out plan for the remaining phases of building out Autumn Ridge. The last phase, phase 4, is this parcel. We're looking at about 35 homes, 35 lots on this, as well as a significant portion of it to be remaining undeveloped as a retention basin and open natural area. That's pushed on the north in particular on purpose because it provides some of that buffer to Blair Hills as well. The developer and our company had neighborhood meetings with both the Blair Hills Neighborhood Association and the Autumn Ridge Neighborhood Association, where we presented these plans, listened to and addressed concerns, and received favorable, favorable recommendations from them walking out of those neighborhood association meetings. So with that, if you have any additional specific questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions from the commissioners?
At this point, do you know if the northeast corner, which is, I believe, wooded, will that be cut down to make?
The intent is to keep it wooded. Those will be sold as wooded lots. Now, I mean,
I understand.
But if an individual property owner buys it and decides they want.
I understand.
to do something. But the intent is, as we've shown, we'd like them to be wooded lots that, maintain the wooded forest cover for sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else, either in person, by phone, attending virtually, wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-09? Hearing none and seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to petition 21-09, either in person, by phone, or attending virtually?
Hi, Dale Dierdorf, 903 Handlebar Road, Mishawaka, Indiana. Not necessarily in opposition, but obviously a question concerning the retention area and the proposed wooded area. We were not apprised of this by our board, unfortunately, but yeah, we do want to support the retention pond. The water will be Mishawaka's responsibility if it ends up at Blair Hills Avenue and Dragoon, which is where it will end up if the retention pond is not developed correctly. So there's also a dump area there in the headwaters of the ravine that needs to be cleaned up as well. So again, we're supporting the annexation of this, but we would like to at least be able to see, as you bring it back to the Planning Commission for further evaluation of the proposed layout of the streets, we'd like to be kept informed, which we were informed this time. So I have no other comments, but I'm not sure whether I'm neutral on the annexation, but I technically do support it.
Okay, thank you. We'll cover that at time of rebuttal. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to petition 21-09? All right.
We anticipate, and I think we, in fact, stated at both of the neighborhood association meetings, that we'd be happy to come back during the process of finalizing the plans and the site plans and the roadway plans. Additionally, we will make sure that we meet all of the City of Mishawaka standards related to the construction and design of the retention basin. We did hear a number of those specific issues. I'm not the engineer in our firm, I'm the planner in our firm, but I know that they took copious notes, and so we're well aware of the issues related to the drainage in that area, and we will definitely make sure that they're addressed as we develop and get approval from the engineering department on the final retention and drainage design for the subdivision.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any questions, comments before we take action? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Go ahead.
I move that we approve petition 21-09.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Wynn?
And second, Chris
By-
Doherty.
yeah, Second by Commissioner Tuorty. Carrie, would you pull the commissioners?
Chris Jamrose?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Matt Lynch?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White Gettich?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. Next up is petition 21-10. A petition submitted by Kenneth Bechtel, requesting to annex and zone 616996 State Road 23 to I-1 Light Industrial District for a proposed storage facility.
Mike Huber, Avon Consultants, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana. Long time no see. This request is specific to the two parcels as indicated on the drawing here. They front on State Road 23. I'd like to point out that the parcels to the northeast and to kind of the immediate west and southwest are currently owned by LLCs or real estate companies. They're not necessarily owned or operated as single-family uses, which is what the current zoning for those are. And given the nature of the State Road 23 corridor here, I don't think we're going to see a lot of continued single-family residential in this area. We have the multifamily condominium development to the south with self-storage units to the south as well. And then the mall and everything to the north. So we feel like this is consistent with the uses in the corridor. I don't think it's bringing any additional intensity that's going to impact anybody negatively. In fact, this is one of the few kind of uses that won't be put off by the fact that you've got the toll road noise blowing by in State Road 23. So we feel like this is a really nice fit for this parcel of property. And so we're asking to have this annexed and zoned in. In reading through the staff report and conversations with staff, we recognize that it may be cost prohibitive for this development to access the sewer that's existing to the north on the other side of the toll road to the lift stations and things like that. They've asked us to remove the office from this development. We're in discussions on that, but we'd like to further explore some additional sewage options. We'd like to reach out to the property owners to the south. They have a system as well, see if we can't get an easement and tie in down there. We'll work through that as we get to the next phase of this, which is the final site plan development process. But for the purpose of the rezoning, we've just left it in for now. If it comes to we can't solve that problem, then that's something we're certainly willing to take a look at, removing that office use from there. But we'd like to exhaust all the other options before we do that. So if you have any additional specific questions on this project, just happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? And after tonight, we don't like to talk about exhaust. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-10, either in person, by phone, or attending virtually? Seeing none and hearing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to, I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off? Are you wishing to speak in favor of?
Well, my name is Philip Corcoran. I live at 17072 State Road 23, just down the street from this property. There was, when I first read the notice, I noticed it said a proposed storage facility. And then as I read the back, it says a proposed self-storage facility. I just was questioning some of the ambiguity between those two different terms, and apparently the gentleman, obviously, who just spoke, seemed to have cleared that up, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank everybody as members of the commission for listening to give me the opportunity to speak. The other thing would be, the maintenance of the site and, keeping it clean and things of that nature, because there's no doubt the gentleman is right. There's basically open property to the north and to the south, and then you have a real estate agent. You also have a lawyer's office, and a lot of the people along here, including myself, are either are mostly retired or older folks. So I'm not sure what the disposition is going to be in as we move on to the great beyond. But I'm basically for this as long as it's maintained well and doesn't affect property values going forward. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-10?
John Percini, 633 Windy Cove Court, Mishawaka. I'm representing the buyers. Just wanted you to know, we did try to purchase that other property to the north, but it's double the cost, and it just, with the proximity and the access, it just didn't make it feasible to kind of, take care of that whole area. So it is a local firm, local family, has a lot of storage. They do a great job. You guys have been down this road with them before. So the maintenance of it, they got the nicest facilities around, so I don't think you'd be disappointed there. But just want to let you know, we did take a stab at that. It's priced for commercial is what it's basically priced at, so we just couldn't make the deal on it. If you have questions, be glad.
Any questions? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of petition 21-10? Attending in person, virtually, by phone? Hearing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to petition 21-10? In person, by phone, virtually? Again, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to 21-10? Seeing none and hearing none, even that was sort of a in-between, is there any response?
I think John mentioned that it's a local company that's done a number of these, and I don't think the maintenance issue is going to be anything that will have to worry about.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions, comments before we take action? No. If not, I would accept a motion.
I motion to approve petition 21-10.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Kathy White Gaddich.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Freeman. Carrie, would you poll the commissioners?
Chris Chambers?
Yes.
Murray Wynn?
Yes.
Chris Nabalski?
Yes.
Matt Lynch?
Yes.
Chris Torty?
Yes.
Dale Freeman?
Yes.
Kathleen White Gaddich?
Yes.
And that passes unanimously. Is there any old business, Mr. Spear?
None.
New business?
None.
Privilege of the floor? Seeing none? We are officially adjourned. Thank you.